Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, and it's a really great honor and privilege for me to speak here and at the Karachi Council on Foreign Relations platform, and it's very happy, and this is a prestigious place, the house of the Father of Relation, and so I feel very privileged to meet you. Well, I will just have a short speech, short address, and then I'd like to have more interactions with you. If you have any questions, I'm free to answer. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, we are living in a changing world. The rivalry of major powers is happening, and the so-called competition between the major powers now becomes very tense. And the wars between Russia and Ukraine, and started by somewhere else, and we don't know, but that had more problems and pressures on our world. The world economy, geopolitics are keeping changing. Our country, this part of the world, Asia, even though that the forces beyond Asia are trying to create different blocs, cliques, but so far we'll see that the nations in Asia are more or less roughly sticking together. I call it the spirit of Asia: unity, security, development, and a win-win cooperation. So all the countries in Asia, they have their clear-cut policies to analyze and adjust to the changing geopolitical landscape, and better place themselves in such a situation. In Asia, then we have a few blocs. Of course, some of those blocs, also are open for Western countries, like APEC, okay, like ASEAN Plus platforms, and of course we have our own, coalition, ad hoc coalition, like mechanism, like Shanghai SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and Pakistan is a member, India is a member, and we have some other more regional cooperations, and these are going very well, and all the major players, stakeholders, are putting the livelihood of our people the first task. I think that various governments in this region, they're very clear about what is happening and what is their mission. So in this region, the few development we have to be always put in mind. Number one, that economic development is our most important task. Asia, in history, we have a long history of colonialism. Colonialism, yes, in the social media, if you follow closely, there's very heated discussions on the good sides and bad sides of colonialism. And some are saying we should live with this one and champion with this one. And some others saying that the colonialism create a lot of problems, aftermath for all the Asian members. China, as one of the most populous country in Asia, of course in the world. I'm not just talking more about Asia, our region. Okay? And we're trying to bring the whole bloc together and to live peacefully with each other, and to apply a future of win-win cooperation. And we are leading in many aspects. I mean, leading the efforts of putting all the stakeholders together. And we are trying to, normalize our relations with India. We have so many problems, but we're trying to normalize. And both countries are most populous nations. And in terms of population, I think India next year will overtake China, being the largest population in the world. So the whole Asia, the future lies in the hands of the major players. And Pakistan is the most influential country in the Islamic world. You have almost 220 million population, and I may say, despite of some current problems, but your economy, you have a robust economic, future. Right now you have some problem, but I always say that Pakistan, you have the most resilient private sectors. I met a lot of private businessmen. They are very strong, and they're working on their own, and they know how to do their business. And you have such a large number of diaspora, and every year they are sent back more than $30 billion of remittances back home. And Pakistan is a country, has almost all the major industries. And you can depend on yourself to realize self-reliance. And most importantly, that you have a very young population. Yeah. So the human population dividend is so big for Pakistan. So I always say that Pakistan is the future of Asia, and if we do better, and Pakistan will fly even higher. And of course in Asia, we have so many problems: border issue, territorial disputes, water disputes, and relations among some countries not good. North Korea, South Korea, we have a peninsula problem, nuclear, issue. China and Japan, the relations also got some problem. And you come to this Central Asia, the they are also facing some economic and political issues. Afghanistan last year had a very big changeover. But we are looking forward that Pakistan will develop to the right direction. And China, in collaboration with Pakistan, we're trying to help Pakistan or Afghanistan to come up with good governance and good plan to develop Afghanistan. So if looking around this whole Asia, economically, then we are doing much better, okay? And politically, we're facing some instability, but if we put the whole region as a whole, it is stabilized. If you're looking back few years, a few decades back, things are developing to the right direction. And as far as the relations among the countries concerned, I think that unity, cooperation, win-win spirit is taking roots. And this is a huge encouragement for the players of this region to come together to facing the situation. So I would say that people are talking about much a few years before that this is the age of Asia, or the era of Asia. And but I think that is the future. The future is still there. Asia will play an even greater role in the international and regional affairs. Your Excellency's distinguished guests, this morning, I was invited to attend a function organized by KEC, Karachi Editors Club, to celebrate the 73rd anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. Because of pandemic and security issue, and this year the consulate we are allowed to host a National Day reception. This is the third time that we could not do that. So I'm sorry I couldn't invite you, all of you, to that function. But on today's function, I gave them, some of my assessment about the bilateral relations and the situation on some specific, issues like in Xinjiang, the question of Xinjiang, the question of Taiwan, and the debt trap. And some of those, issues which are always raised by reporters and journalists. But here, on this platform, I just want to give you some, understanding and updates about how CPEC is going on, okay? CPEC has been initiated in 2015 by the Chinese President Xi Jinping. And since then, that both governments have been working very closely. And record that the first phase has already completed, and now we're in the second phase. Then what we have done in the first phase? In the first phase, at the request of then your federal government, please come to help us to solve the energy shortage. No any other countries willing to help us. So then we come up with a very concerted and integrated plan to solve this problem. Basically, in the energy sector, we started the program. Of course, some of those corporations, like the corporation in the nuclear field, has been started many years back. Okay, but we had more projects for the first phase of CPAC. In energy sector alone, the Chinese side, has come up with a very big plan, of course agreed by your government. The most striking feature of the first phase of CPAC is G2G, government to government. And the energy sector, most of the projects fall into G2G program. Even though most of these projects have been constructed or completed or implemented by the companies, but that is within the government's directives. In energy sector, we come up in a very big way in 5 areas. Number 1 is that the thermal power plants. That is most quick and efficient way to help you to solve the energy shortage. So we consecutively built power plant Kasim, Harbor power plant, Sashiwar power plant, Laki power plant, and Jamashauru power plant. And most important, the Chinese companies, we take part into the development of Tapakar, your own coal resources. And for the thermal power plants, some of these power plants, based on imported coal resources. But now, because of the uncertainty of the international price, so nobody knows that the international market price for coal is so high now. The coal imported from South Africa, Indonesia, gone up to $300 per ton. But at the very beginning is around $50, $100, $150. So there's a big increase. And this adds a lot of problems for the IPPs. Yeah. But all these power plants, despite of the pandemic, despite of the security issue, the Chinese side come in a big way, and we completed most of the projects. Can you? This AC is yeah. Can you change it? I will feel E. Can you just move the direction of one? So for the energy, for the thermal power plants, they're doing very well. And for maybe you will raise questions regarding Tapakar, I will give you more answers. But right now I just cut short here. And the second area is hydropower. Hydropower is clean. Hydropower is clean, but it requires huge investment. And the construction takes a longer time. Okay, so even after 7 years, and only one of them, Karot, hydropower Karot, has just completed and opened into operation. The rest are still under construction. The rest, about 5 to 7 hydropowers undertaken by the Chinese companies, are still going on. Yeah, it will take more time to complete. That will add more, if after the completion, that will add more, energy to your whole national grid. Yeah. And the third area is nuclear power plants. Right here in Karachi, K2, K3. In the past almost 3 years when I arrived, joined my office here, my main, efforts has been focusing on the construction of this K2, K3. It's happy to see that the 2 power plants has officially opened into commercial operation and is generating clean energy and supply to your national grid. And the fourth area is the windmills. Windmills, if you travel to the inner part of Sindh province, especially near to Hyderabad, Dadu, and we call this wind corridors. The wind farms are many, and the Chinese companies invest huge. Yeah. But these are also doing very well. And finally is the solar panels, solar power plants. And this becomes very catchy, and especially farmers. And solar power and wind power is okay, but for solar power, now is how to solve the storage, and how to solve the peak hour and the low hour, okay, day and night. So we are still facing some, not just a global issue, global technical issue, but so far, this solar power plants has been functioning very well in Pakistan. So we put all these 5 sectors together, and now the total generation of electricity capacity is around 3 WM. I forget that, and it's much more than the actual need or demand by Pakistan. Yeah. So now that means what? That means you have more excesses, surplus electricity if we put all these power plants in operation. Okay. So this is good news. And for the first phase, besides of energy sector, we come up, very closely with Pakistan to solve, transportation problem. And some of these major projects has been completed, like M5, the highway, super highway connecting Moortown to Sakar, has completed, and the upgrade of the second phase of Karachi Highway has been completed. So now that Pakistan is boasting, the Karachi Highway can be, most parts of the highway is all weather roads. Yeah. So, and we also have a very big project, metro project in Lahore, the Orange Line is completed. And in the transportation sector, we have completed the East Bay Expressway in Gwadar, and of course some other. I don't want to mention all of this. And the third area is the telecommunication. Of course, there's so many companies, some Western companies, and the Chinese companies. Zone is a collaboration between Chinese companies and Pakistan counterpart. It's doing very well. And we have completed the first, optical fiber line connecting China and Pakistan via Karachi highways. That is now in operation. Okay. So in the first phase, we have some other projects are going on. So I would say that the first phase, not many people know the achievements. There are so many achievements, but because of the negative propaganda by some forces, and CPEC, the image of CPEC has been tarnished. Yeah. And they portray a different situation. They have different narratives. But I say that I'm frank enough to tell all my audience, all Pakistani sisters, brothers, that we did a great job. And Pakistan do really benefited huge from CPEC projects. Yes. And of course, some people will mention about Gwadar. Gwadar, we have been doing a great job. This morning, in my speech on that celebration, I introduced about the data trap. Data trap is a term fabricated by some scholars, some forces in the West, intentionally tarnish our investment. Okay? We have a figure. Of course, maybe the calculation is different. According to our calculation, by the end of last year, the total external debt of Pakistan is over $120 billion, roughly, maybe more or maybe less, but we have that figure. Around this $120 billion, less than 10% owned by China. The rest, 90% of debts of Pakistan owned by the Western countries, especially the financial institutions. I will ask, less than 10%, if less than 10% debt is called debt trap, then how about the rest, the other 90%? Okay? So then I will tell you that the credits, the loans, I mean the finance by Chinese side to carry out these projects are mainly in three categories. Number one is government aid. That is to say, the Chinese government will provide all the finance free of charge. We have been doing that in many fields. Some generals know that we have very close cooperation in the security fields, security defense fields. And some of those projects has been completed through this formality. And I just mentioned about some civilian projects going on in Gwadar, the Gwadar New International Airport. That is one of the biggest investment and one of the major airports in Pakistan. Yeah. Which will be commissioned next year, hopefully August. And about the East Bay Expressway, about the training institute, about the virtual middle school, about the friendship hospital. Then we have add more projects like the water desanitation plant, which will produce 5 1,000 tons of water daily basis, and now that project is under construction. Okay, so all these projects are financed by Chinese government, use Chinese government aid. That is one category. And the second is preferential loans. Preferential loans provided by Chinese financial institutions with the government, support. Preferential loans means that the interest rate is always under 2%, not more than 2%. The more interest over 2% will be covered by government. So government will compensate for the difference of the interest rate. So many projects have been implemented through this way. And finally is financial. I mean that commercial loans. Commercial loans that these loans are not provided by the government but by the financial institutions, banks. Yeah. So that is mainly three channels, three ways that we are financing the CPEC projects. Of course, besides of the Chinese government, Chinese companies financing, we also working closely with a third party, like Kasim Power Plant is actually not a joint venture, but it is a tripartite project among China, Pakistan, and Qatar company. Yeah. And China only have some shares on it, and Qatar company control the main shares of the project. So there are so many, different ways of financing. So for the first phase, it's doing very well. I hope that you can spread this information to your audience, to your people, about CFEC is really doing a great job, doing very well. Okay, but some people intentionally sabotage or create images, very negative images on that. Now we are in the second phase. Second phase, the main feature will be B2B, business to business. The first phase is G2G, but the second will be B2B, and focusing on industry, manufacture, agriculture, and the social economic projects for the local people. Yeah. So for the second phase, which started last year, and we have a joint working group and joint commission of CPEC, which has been held 11 meetings, and is guiding the operation and guiding drawing up the plans for the second phase. And both sides are doing very well. And ever since the interception of CPEC, all the governments of Pakistan from different times, they have been very cooperative and supported earnestly to implement CPEC projects. So we really grateful, very much grateful of the Pakistani side, for implementation of these projects. Yes. So besides the CPEC, I want to give you some information about the COVID control situation. everybody knows that, you know, the whole world, most, you know, countries are opening up, and US is even announced that, you know, they are COVID free, yeah. But actually, COVID has been with us more than 2 years and caused huge problems, and especially severely affected the service industry and tourism. Tourism has been badly affected, and international travels is also, you know, influenced very badly. And the people are very much worried about the situation, how China will act next, you know. So, especially the business community. Business community of Pakistan, because they have, through the years, they've been doing business with Chinese counterparts. But now because of COVID, they cannot travel to China, and they are very concerned about the situation. They want to go back to meet their partners, and, you know, especially to visit the manufacturer plants. And they say that through online meetings is not effective to help them to solve problems. So how to acquire a visa, and when will China to relax the COVID control, you know, implementation, like quarantine. Okay. Currently, when you travel to China, number one, for visas. For visas, we are open. My consulate, the embassy in Islamabad, and our consulate in Lahore are open for you know, applying, you know, passports and, you know, issue visas. It's no problem. And last 2 years, maybe some of you know that one of the biggest issues with the education sector. Before the pandemic, roughly we have nearly 40,000 Pakistani students are studying in China. But soon after the occurrence of COVID, most of the students came back. And in the past more than 2 years, they complained a lot to my office, to the embassy, that, you know, online education is not good, especially for the students who are majoring in engineer. They have to do the experiments. So online, you cannot do this one. So they are, you know, pressing us, please give us visa and let us return to our campus and continue our education offline. Okay. So we have opened the student visa. Which month? Mr. Shang? This year we opened the student study visa just few months before we opened. So for applying visa, now it's no problem. If you apply and meet the requirement, you will get a visa, and my consulate will provide, you know, one window service for the degree tourists sitting here. If you wish to travel to China, send me a message through WhatsApp. You have my card, and I'll try to help you to get the visa. After you get a visa, you have to book the air tickets. Because of COVID, the flights has greatly reduced. Okay. In the past, Air China has daily flights connecting Pakistan and China, connecting Islamabad, Karachi, and Beijing. But now reduced to once a week. And Pia has resumed flights, 2 flights. One flight from Islamabad to Chengdu, another is from Islamabad to Xi'an. Yeah. And China Southern Airlines also, resumed flight once a week. So booking air tickets now is also take time because the flights connecting our 2 countries are very few. Of course, you can fly to the Gulf states like Dubai, Qatar, and these places, and transit to Guangzhou, to some other cities in China. But buying tickets is always a problem. Okay. And thirdly, you have the visa, you have the tickets, and you travel to China, you have to face 7 days quarantine. You have to stay in a hotel for 7 days. And if you travel to Beijing, it will require 3 days more quarantine. That is 10 days. So, of course, this one's already much relaxed. In the high days of COVID last year, the average quarantine time is 3 weeks, 21 days. But now we reduced it to 7 days. Okay, so it's much relaxed. But still, the business community in Pakistan is complaining with me, and how we don't have that much time to waste to stay in the hotel for 7 days. What do I do? What do I do? Just isolation in the hotel? Sleeping? No, I cannot. So I think that is really troublesome. Yeah. So let's hope that maybe the quarantine, protection and prevention methods will be further relaxed based on, the overall improvement of the COVID situation. And by the way, I just want to give you some information and some reasons why China cannot open up completely right now. Because we have 1.4 billion population. Among them, we have roughly 300 million senior citizens who are over 60 years old. And everybody knows that the senior citizens are the main victims of COVID. In China, we have a tradition, we have a philosophy, we have a culture to look after our senior population. Okay, this is our tradition. We respect them. We wish them to live 100 years, 150 years, as long as possible, to enjoy the life. These people, especially those people retired, they worked very hard for the build-up of our nation. So now we cannot give up this such a big population, 300 million population. If you want to open up, maybe all of them will be infected. And most of them will die. We cannot, this is the price we cannot pay. We cannot take this risk to open up. So that's why we have to have this quarantine prevention and protection measures in place. So we wish you understand us and understand why we cannot, learn from the US and open up completely regular. We have to find ways to phase out, and specifically, efficiently, and in a transparent, scientific manner. So I just want to stop here And I can't talk too much topics, but it will take a long time. So I thank you all for you to take this trouble to come here to listen to me, and I'd like to exchange, pick up your questions and give you frank, answers, and to help you to better understanding the bilateral relations. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.